In today's noisy world, everyone is trying to be heard. But the people who speak less and say what really matters are the ones who stand out. The Stoics believe that real power is not in talking a lot, but in speaking clearly and with purpose. When you use fewer words, your message becomes stronger and more memorable. In this video, you'll learn how to speak with calm confidence, use silence as a tool, and lead by saying just enough. If you want to be heard and respected, it's time to master the Stoic Law of Brevity. Speak less, say more. I'm so glad you're here and that you chose to listen to this content. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to everyone who has already subscribed, because your support truly means the world to us. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss out on our latest content. We would also love to hear from you, so feel free to drop a comment below with your suggestions, feedback, or just to say hello. Let's keep growing this amazing community together, and thank you for being part of the journey. Now get ready, because you might be surprised by what you'll learn in this video if you stay until the end. Let's jump in. The Stoic Law of Brevity. Speak less, say more. In a world full of noise, where everyone is trying to be the loudest voice in the room, the person who speaks calmly, clearly, and with intention naturally stands out, cutting through the chaos with quiet strength. The Stoics believe that true power lies not in how much you say, but in how effectively you can say what matters with as few words as possible. Often, over-explaining comes from a place of insecurity, a fear of being misunderstood or overlooked. Yet the irony is that the more you talk, the less people tend to remember. If your words are sharp, focused, and measured, they carry more weight, and people listen more closely. Consider the most respected leaders or speakers. They rarely speak in long-winded paragraphs, yet every sentence feels intentional and memorable. A simple rule to follow is this: use one sentence to state your idea and one more to support it, then stop. Instead of rushing to fill the silence, pause for 3 seconds after each important point, allowing your words to sink in and signal confidence without saying a thing. Whether you are sharing a belief, pitching an idea, or expressing a personal value, if you can communicate it in 30 seconds or less, you are not only being concise, you are being unforgettable. Brevity, when practiced well, becomes a form of quiet authority, and those who master it are often treated like leaders long before they officially become one. Your body speaks before you do. Before you even speak, your body has already made an impression, and often it speaks louder than your words. Therefore, mastering your physical presence is just as important as choosing the right words. The Stoics understood this well, as they believed in disciplining not only their thoughts, but also their posture, look, and movements, since these elements reflect your inner world more transparently than speech. For instance, when someone walks into a room fidgeting, slouching, or avoiding eye contact, they unknowingly communicate insecurity or lack of self-belief. In contrast, someone who enters slowly, stands upright, maintains steady eye contact, and moves with intention immediately creates an impression of quiet confidence and control. Moreover, this is not about being stiff or emotionless, but about being purposeful in every movement. Because true stillness is not a lack of energy, but rather power that is calmly contained. In the same way that Marcus Aurelius didn't need to raise his voice to command attention, you too can cultivate a presence that speaks before you do. Consequently, practicing simple techniques such as wall posture drills to align your spine, speaking in front of a mirror without using your hands to reduce distractions, or walking slowly and deliberately to build awareness can help develop this presence. In conclusion, people trust what they see more than what they hear. So if your body silently says, "I believe this," then your words will carry more weight. And often, in a room full of noise, it is the person who remains calm and still who commands the most attention. Speak the truth, especially when it hurts. Telling the truth, especially when it's uncomfortable. is one of the most powerful forms of communication, yet many people avoid it. The Stoics saw truth as a form of moral clarity, a commitment to seeing and accepting reality rather than bending it for convenience or social approval. Often, people shy away from difficult conversations in an effort to keep things pleasant on the surface. However, avoiding the truth usually leads to more tension over time, while honest, thoughtful communication helps clear the air and build genuine understanding. For example, if a project at work is going off track, saying, "I don't think this approach is working, and here's what I suggest instead," can save time and frustration. Or in a friendship, expressing, "When this happens, it makes me feel dismissed," creates space for deeper connection and growth. Speaking the truth doesn't mean being harsh or confrontational. It means being clear, steady, and sincere. You don't need to apologize for seeing things as they are, nor do you have to soften your words to make them easier to hear. It's not about winning an argument or blaming others. It's about showing up with honesty and care. If there's something you've been avoiding, whether a conversation at work, a boundary in a relationship, or an uncomfortable truth about yourself, try addressing it this week. When you speak with calm confidence and clarity, you might not please everyone right away, but you will earn their respect and trust. Over time, people remember and rely on those who are brave enough to tell the truth when it matters most. Master your emotions to master your speech. How well you handle your emotions has a huge impact on how strong, clear, and trustworthy your words come across. When you're angry, flustered, or reacting impulsively, your speech becomes unpredictable. And let's be honest, unpredictable people don't inspire confidence. Think about the Stoics. They didn't ignore their feelings or pretend they didn't exist. Instead, they felt everything fully, but didn't let those feelings take the wheel. They chose carefully what to say and how to say it, with real purpose. So, the next time you face criticism or pressure, try this: pause. Not because you're unsure or weak, but because you're powerful enough to take a moment. One deep breath, a second to collect yourself, and a calm, clear response will always do more than 100 emotional outbursts ever could. Try practicing a simple 60-second pause when you feel triggered. See every emotional wave as a chance to build your verbal discipline. And remember, if your life feels chaotic, if your sleep is off, your meals are rushed, and your schedule is all over the place, your speech will probably reflect that chaos too. When your body is calm, your mind follows, and your words will naturally be more composed. Speak only after you've regained control. This isn't about suppressing your emotions, it's about mastering them. And trust me, that's the secret weapon of every leader who never has to raise their voice to make a real impact. The power of silence. Don't rush to fill the void. In our hyperverbal culture, silence is feared, but the Stoic sees it as a tool of immense influence. Most people feel the need to speak quickly, constantly filling every pause in conversation, as if silence were awkward or dangerous. But in Stoicism, silence is presence amplified. The one who is silent while others scramble to speak is usually the one holding the most power. Think of Marcus Aurelius, who would often sit in silence before answering his generals. Not because he didn't know what to say, but because his silence forced others to think more carefully. Use silence to signal thoughtfulness. When someone asks a question, pause. When someone finishes a rant, pause. The longer you wait, within reason, the more people anticipate your response. In negotiation, persuasion, or leadership, silence is often more disarming than speech. It doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you're choosing when to say it. Practice strategic silence like a weapon. Cold, clean, and unsettlingly effective. Ask sharper questions than everyone else. While most people chase answers to sound smart, Stoics seek better questions, because the quality of your inquiry determines the depth of your insight. When you ask lazy questions, "What do you think?" or "Is that okay?" You signal passivity. But when you ask precise, probing questions like, what's the core obstacle here? Or, how would this decision look if I removed my ego? You elevate the entire room's thinking. Socrates, a Stoic forerunner, built his philosophy on questions that cut through assumptions and force people to confront uncomfortable truths. In conversation, the person who asks sharp questions becomes the quiet leader, even without giving directives. This skill creates clarity, not just for others, but for you. It improves meetings, conflict resolution, and even internal dialogue. Start replacing vague curiosity with surgical inquiry. Ask fewer questions, but make each one count. Because one precise question can change the course of an entire discussion. Detach from outcome. Control your delivery. The Stoic ideal is indifference to external outcomes. Not because results don't matter, but because we can never fully control them. What you do control is how you show up, how you speak, and the integrity behind your words. If you speak only to win approval, impress, or get validation, you'll always be nervous, reactive, and inconsistent. But if you speak to express your principles clearly and calmly, regardless of how it's received, you become unshakable. Epictetus taught, do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will flow smoothly. You can apply this to communication. Speak your truth, and let the chips fall where they may. Whether others agree, misunderstand, or ignore you, that is outside your control. What is within your control is your clarity, tone, and courage. When you speak like this, you liberate yourself from manipulation, and paradoxically, people begin to listen more attentively because they sense you're free from needing their approval. Precision over passion. Control the temperature of your words. In emotionally charged situations, people often equate passion with persuasion, thinking that volume or intensity will drive their point home. But the Stoic understands that passion, when unregulated, undermines reason. The most powerful arguments are not the loudest. They're the most precise. Speaking with emotional control doesn't mean speaking like a robot. It means using tone with intentionality, not letting it use you. Marcus Aurelius never shouted in the Senate, yet his words outlasted emperors who did. In any high-stakes discussion, if your opponent raises their voice, you lower yours. If they go wide with emotion, you go narrow with logic. This contrast makes you memorable, credible, and feared. Practice emotional control not by suppressing your feelings, but by converting them into focused speech. Channel energy into clarity, not chaos. When the room gets heated, be the coldest voice, and you'll become the one everyone trusts. Consistency builds authority. Speak the same in public and private. People watch not just what you say, but whether it matches how you live. The Stoic doesn't perform in front of others and contradict himself behind closed doors. His speech is consistent, at work, at home, and in solitude, because his words flow from principle, not from circumstance. This internal alignment builds quiet, unshakable authority. Most people change their tone based on status. Submissive to superiors, dominant to subordinates, charming to strangers, dismissive to family. But if you speak with one tone, measured, calm, confident, across all contexts, people begin to trust that you're anchored to something deeper than mood or power dynamics. Consistency doesn't mean monotony. It means integrity. When your language is aligned with your beliefs, when your tone doesn't shift based on audience, you command more respect without ever demanding it. Speak as if every sentence could be recorded and played back to someone you admire. If it holds up in every room, it becomes your unbreakable armor. Thanks for watching. Remember, speaking less doesn't mean being quiet. It means choosing your words with care and confidence. When you speak with purpose, people listen. Start practicing the Stoic Law of Brevity today. Speak clearly, stay calm, and let your actions and presence do the rest. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.